people frequenting the sacraments often. That's one of the most edifying. For a priest, that's something that brings joy. Yeah. The most important part with the Latin Mass that drew me was the times in the Mass, the different times in the Mass in which I could just pray and to meditate. And the silence, the extra silence that was there. Me being more interior, I think, with my prayer life and so forth. The character of the Latin Mass, I thought, was more appropriate for my personality. That of my prayer life, and where the priest concentrates more so on the sacrifice that is in front of him on the altar, with less distractions from everything else and everyone else in the church, which the rubrics talk about, of the importance of the priest not looking up and around to see who's there and everything else as sources of unnecessary distractions. Yes, at first I think they were quite apprehensive, or were encouraging me to make sure that it was a good decision, that it wasn't done for the wrong reason. And that's very important with every vocation of that discernment. In the seminary, being in the seminary, that kind of grew into a greater support of seeing how I changed, how I prayed, the difference in how I pray and so forth, the change in my demeanor as a seminarian, of how careful I was with what I said and so forth. And I think that really helped my family, to encourage me. Yes, knowing that, yes, it would take many years of studies. And that was the most difficult part, to think of, okay, that's a big sacrifice of 8 years, about 8 years in the seminary. That was the main part. And take it from day to day, as offering up day to day, etc. The fraternity first, with the Latin Mass, of me, myself being more conducive towards the Latin Mass, and the love of the extra silence and so forth. And of course, growing up with it to a certain degree as well. It helped with that. But knowing that in living in community, with that fraternal charity, it helps in a number of ways, but one is to help each other persevere, and to their safety in numbers. As what Christ said, go 2 by 2, etc. Living in community helps us to keep up our prayer life, because we are to pray every day together, as well as have meals together, and being able to be there for each other to discuss things and any questions or difficulties and so forth. So it really does help a lot. The Benedictines were great with the Gregorian chant. It was a blessing to be with them, to learn from them, to sing the chant every day, because every day was sung Mass. And so it was nice, both the Latin chants and some of the English adapted ones, especially of seeing how they would do things in a more prayerful way, and to do things more slowly and so forth. The one thing that was great to learn from them was chanting the office in common. It helped to understand how a common prayer life was formed, with all the monks praying together. And even though some were off or some were flat or sharp, that they all sang. It helped me to learn how to pray well. There's some funny monks. Each monk has a different personality, and it's funny how it all works together. As the one priest told us, he said, well, it's not natural for a group of men to live together in community. So, it must be from God. So, with God's grace. And I could see it there, yes. Yeah. Some funny times, but knowing that, yes, each monk is a little different. Difficulties. Some individuals testing patience. That's always quite difficult of how to bear things patiently, but also the most difficult is how to give good advice to various types, various personalities, various people in the most beneficial way. It's something that is very important to know the strengths and weaknesses of people, to help them the best way to help people is to know, yes, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to give advice on account of that. Just being able to help out so much. We're blessed with many good servers, many volunteers that just are all too happy to help. Baptism. Baptisms are the most edifying, especially knowing that each baby is different. It can be one that cries a lot, one that is just quiet through the whole thing. Ones where there's no reaction, where there's some reaction, when the water is poured over their forehead, or when they receive the morsel of salt. And usually the parents and others who have seen the ceremony before are quick to notice to see if there's any reaction, etc. But also confessions, to be able to help people in the spiritual life. Pray to ask God to help guide your thoughts, and for discernment to actually see, am I up to this vocation? And knowing that there's different types of vocation, to the religious life as a brother, as well as the priesthood. Do I have the ability for studies? Do I have the ability, or do I love to pray? Do I understand the life of sacrifice that is called for a religious life as a brother or a priest? Can I accept those things as a cross that God wishes for my salvation and salvation of others? Yeah, it's part of the vocations.